It didn't start with an announcement. No headline, no press release, just silence. One day Amazon's lights were on. The next they were planning an escape. In early 2025, Amazon's headquarters in Seattle started showing strange signs. The elevators that once buzzed late at night with strategy meetings stopped. The war rooms on the 14th floor? Empty. And the real shocker? Executives stopped scheduling meetings for the future. No calendar invites, no travel bookings. Just nothing. Then the truth dropped like a bomb. Amazon wasn't just shifting teams. They were leaving America, completely. But why? It all came down to one thing: tariffs, massive ones, the kind that can strangle the global supply chain of the world's biggest online store. It started with a new trade policy. The U.S. government decided to launch a patriotic tariff revolution, aiming to protect American industry by taxing imported goods like Chinese electronics and European medicines. But this wasn't just a political flex. It was economic shock therapy. Amazon's entire empire relied on importing cheap goods, especially from overseas sellers. These sellers used something called the de minimis rule, which allowed low-cost imports to bypass taxes. When that rule was axed, everything changed. Suddenly, Amazon's prices went through the roof. Products became 145% more expensive, not because of supply problems, but because of new taxes. This killed Amazon's price advantage instantly. While competitors outside the U.S. still had cheap supply chains, Amazon was now stuck with expensive inventory and furious customers. Executives ran the numbers, then ran them again. The outcome? A projected $13 billion profit loss within 3 years. So they did what no one expected. They activated Project Silver Compass, a top-secret mission to move Amazon's entire global HQ outside the U.S. Amazon didn't panic. They planned. Fast. They made a short list of 4 countries: Singapore, Ireland, Canada, and UAE. Each one offered something America no longer could: smooth trade, low taxes, political stability, and modern infrastructure. Singapore was fast and laser-focused on tech commerce. Ireland had a history of absorbing corporate giants. Canada was familiar territory with flexible trade routes. But the UAE, that offer was insane. 10 years of zero corporate tax, a custom-built logistics district in Dubai, sovereign control over Amazon's own data, fast-track visas for 40,000 employees and their families. It was a billionaire's dream wrapped in a golden contract. Behind closed doors, Amazon began silent negotiations. They weren't asking. They were shopping for the perfect country, and UAE rolled out the red carpet. But back in Washington, word got out. Amazon was reportedly planning to show customers how much of an item's price was due to tariffs, essentially blaming the government for rising costs. The White House exploded. The president's press secretary accused Amazon of undermining American interests. Politicians started whispering about antitrust investigations. A phone call between Jeff Bezos and the president ended with a chilling warning. If you make it impossible to operate here, we will operate somewhere else. Then came the real silence. No press releases, no statements, no scheduled meetings past June. On May 6, 2025, Amazon made it official. Their entire global headquarters was moving abroad. The moment Amazon announced it was relocating its global headquarters, the ground shook. Not just in Seattle, but across the entire global economy. The initial reaction? Chaos. Amazon's stock plunged 5% within hours. Investors panicked, unsure of what this meant for the company's future. But Wall Street did what it always does. It followed the money. Within days, analysts realized the truth. Amazon, by escaping U.S. tariffs and slashing tax exposure, could save billions in the long run. The stock not only recovered, it surged. But in Seattle, the pain was immediate, personal, and real. Tens of thousands of Amazon employees, from coders to cafeteria staff, were suddenly facing a life-changing question. Do I uproot my life and move to a foreign country, or do I stay and lose my job? Many didn't even get a choice. Contracts were terminated, teams dissolved. Relocations were issued with hard deadlines and little flexibility. The city's housing market, once inflated by Amazon's presence, began to sag. Rental prices dropped. Businesses that depended on Amazon foot traffic, cafes, gyms, dry cleaners, began shuttering one after another. Real estate developers froze mid-project. Tax revenue projections plummeted. Seattle, once the heart of global e-commerce, was now suffering from economic heartbreak. And Amazon? Amazon was already 10 steps ahead. Data servers were cloned onto sovereign UAE territory. Fulfillment centers in Bahrain and Oman were being upgraded with robotic automation and solar-powered logistics systems. Amazon Web Services, AWS, was expanding its cloud architecture in Abu Dhabi, specifically designed to operate outside U.S. jurisdiction. Their employees? Now learning data localization laws, Islamic finance compliance, and Gulf labor systems. Amazon was becoming more than just a company. It was turning into a digital nation, and the rest of the corporate world watched in awe. If Amazon could do it, why couldn't they? Apple began lobbying Congress for relief on Chinese component tariffs. A leaked internal memo warned that without changes, Apple might restructure its supply chain overseas. Tesla fast-tracked its Indonesia expansion, applying for a special tax treaty for its new battery facility. Even Walmart began quietly reviewing its global logistics structure, preparing for a world where U.S. policies no longer guaranteed business stability. The message was loud and clear. The age of loyalty to one country was over. For Amazon, this wasn't just about escaping costs. It was about unlocking growth. In Dubai, regional governments offered regulatory freedom, massive infrastructure incentives, and academic partnerships with top-tier universities. New research labs were opened focused on AI, robotics, and quantum supply chains, all free from American regulatory oversight. Amazon's workforce began to shift from American to global. Engineers were recruited from India, Germany, South Korea, and Nigeria. Economists from Singapore, designers from France. A new international brain trust was being assembled to build Amazon 2.0, a version of the company unbound by geography, politics, or precedent. Back in the U.S., the backlash exploded. Senators demanded investigations. Unions accused Amazon of betrayal. Consumer groups held press conferences, blaming the company for fleeing its homeland to dodge taxes. There were calls for new legislation to prevent corporate abandonment. But none of it mattered. It was too late. Amazon had already left. Not just physically, but psychologically. The decisions, the operations, the future, they were no longer anchored in America. And this left the nation facing a brutal question. What does it mean to be an American company? If America is no longer the best place to do business? The answer? It doesn't mean anything anymore. In the new global order, the lines have blurred. Companies are not just businesses. They're borderless power structures. They follow efficiency, incentives, and survival, not flags. And when policies get too aggressive, when trade wars backfire, when regulations become unpredictable, they leave. What started as a patriotic tariff policy, meant to punish foreign nations and boost U.S. production, ended up pushing the most powerful American company to become post-American. The irony. While Washington tried to assert dominance through trade, they lost one of their greatest economic assets. And the vacuum that Amazon left? It's already being filled. In Dubai, Amazon's new HQ is being called a digital special economic zone, a futuristic city within a city where innovation is unleashed, AI is untethered, and global talent is free to build the future without red tape. There are rumors that even Amazon's future banking infrastructure will be set up there, allowing it to offer fintech services globally outside of U.S. financial systems. And this is just the beginning. Other tech giants are now in talks with foreign governments. Tax havens are being transformed into innovation sanctuaries. Cities like Singapore, Dublin, and Dubai are becoming the new Silicon Valleys, just without the high taxes and political noise. So when we ask what Amazon's move really means, the answer isn't just economic, it's existential. The world's largest e-commerce empire just looked America in the eye and said, "Thanks for the memories, but we've outgrown you." And in doing so, they pulled the biggest trigger yet in the trade war. Because in this new world, Tariffs aren't just taxes. They're tectonic shifts, and Amazon just triggered an earthquake. This wasn't just a business decision. It was a warning shot. Amazon didn't just move its headquarters. It moved the center of gravity for the global economy. And if the most powerful company in America can walk away, what's stopping the rest? Washington thought they were writing the rules, but Amazon just flipped the board. So the next time you hear a politician talk tough on trade, ask yourself, who's really paying the price? Because in the end, it's not just about tariffs. It's about trust, timing, and knowing when to leave the table. If you found this story eye-opening, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let us know in the comments. Did Amazon betray America or just save itself? Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and remember, the future isn't waiting, it's already on the move.